Aloha and welcome to A League of Extraordinary Couples, where we're going to discover what matters most in terms of dissolving negativity and deepening connection. And today I am delighted to bring about two amazing people who are in a long-term partnership. And I'm not going to really go into that. I'm going to let them introduce themselves because that's part of our interview journey here. But we have Charlie and Linda Bloom here, and they're working on their 5th book, I believe. Lots of information out there in the relational health world and how to really do this wonderful thing called love. So without any further ado, I would love for you two to introduce yourselves by telling us a little bit about how you met. And whichever of you would like to start, I turn it over to you. Who would like to start? Hello.
Hi.
Hi, there's Linda. Could you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about how you met.
We were college students in Boston. We were hippies and flower children and going to college in Boston in the 60s. So we go way back to bell-bottom pants. We've been together 50 years now.
Wow.
And we had a mutual friend who had a barbecue at his house. And so we were there, and I eyed him across the room and went and introduced myself to him. And we have been together ever since. And I'm really glad. That was an important day in my life. That was a life-changing day.
Beautiful. So it sounds like you initiated, you went across the room, eyes met. How about for you, Charlie? What do you remember about that momentous day 50 plus years ago?
God, you make me sound so old.
It's a reverence. It's a sign of honor.
Yeah, that was 1968. Definitely was a transformative moment. Had no idea that 50 years hence we would be together. That was not necessarily my intention at the time. But as they said in the Godfather movie, Linda made an offer that I couldn't refuse. And she's been making the offers ever since, and you know, I haven't refused too many of them.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, from what I can surmise, I would say sense of humor is part of the glue that keeps you two together.
Oh yes.
Would you say so?
Oh yes. I think it's an essential ingredient.
That's very astute of you, Amy, to pick that up, because that actually is an incredibly important aspect of all relationships.
Yeah.
And it can be cultivated. There are people who think, well, you know, I just wasn't born with that gene. Yeah, but you can develop it. And it really is highly underrated in terms of relationships, because, as you know, we all know, stuff is going to come up and it's not always going to be fun and games. And if you don't have some humor occasionally, not all the time, but if you don't have a humor to meet some of those challenges, life can get kind of grim.
Heavy.
So what I hear you saying is it's essential for us to learn that if it doesn't come naturally to us, that sense of humor to help us face life's challenges in the relationship. Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
we have a big growth orientation. So to cultivate ways of being has been really important part of our growth path and what we have to offer. And we particularly believe in stronger at the broken places.
Yeah.
It's about using the ordeals and using the arguments and using that which is difficult and perplexing, because we all come in with, you know, wounds from our family of origin or previous adult relationships, and there's going to be a ton of stuff that's going to come up. And when you have a strong commitment and when you have closeness, more stuff is going to flush up. And so that's big opportunity for growth if you use it well.
Yeah.
Particularly the differences. You know, we are very different. We've got the same
Especially
differences.
Linda.
We're very different.
She's really
The same differences we came in with 50 years ago, but we've learned how to make a big space. Do you know?
Yeah, I do know. And what I hear you saying, it reminds me of that story of that welders say, you know, when the metal is soldered back together, the piece, the integrity of the whole is actually stronger in those places where it's been brought back together.
Right.
So, yeah.
Same thing happens when a bone is broken and it heals. It's stronger at that junction.
Yeah. Great. So I'm getting a little taste of what makes your relationship extraordinary. First of all, I want to highlight the obvious. 50 years. Wow. And I say that with the utmost reverence and respect, in a way of honoring the commitment. And, you know, I think that's somewhat contrary to our dominant culture idea of disposability. And so tell me a little bit about how you do that.
Well, I wrote with Charlie book number 4 about a very difficult period that we went through. And the subtitle, the title is That Which Doesn't Kill Us. And the subtitle is How One Couple Became Stronger at the Broken Places. So if you have an orientation that you use everything that your relationship flushes up as a growth opportunity for yourself, that's a mighty commitment to make. Because sometimes it sure looks like it's all about them, you know, and it's all their fault. And I was convinced for a while, when we were going through this difficult period, when he was on the road, when the children were small and he was working so hard, I was convinced that he was the betrayer and he had broken the agreement that we had. We were going to mutually support each other's career development and bring the kids up together. And I felt like a victim terribly. And I had to keep coming back to this orientation about, I have something to do with this, and I can work out my commitment muscles. It's taken more of me. This is my marathon. It's taking more of me than I ever thought I was going to have to come up with, but I'm going to see what I can do and see if I can hang in there. And so it's actually become a foundation, a real cornerstone of the work that we teach. That want to have the happiest life and the happiest relationship, there's some dues that are the price of admission to get there.
Yeah. I love that image of the marathon, you know, that you're in this for the long haul and you're not going to quit, and you're going to dig deep within your own reservoirs and bring your best self forward. And you mentioned something earlier about the growth orientation, the growth consciousness. Charlie, I'm wondering if you could say a little bit about that.
Well, like Linda said, we both have had a pretty strong sense of that. Although I have to admit that for me anyway, I had absolutely zero idea of not only what it would require to create and sustain a long-term committed partnership. I didn't even know if it was possible. Like many people, I didn't have a model of that growing up with my family, and certainly didn't see a lot of examples of that out there. And so one of the things that it requires to have a growth model is an awareness and a trust of what it is that actually means. That what it means, what does growth mean? What are we talking about? What kind of growth, and what is involved in that? And then, you know, most importantly is what's in it for me? Why should I even bother focusing my life on that when there's so many other things that are, you know, available and maybe more fun and easier to do? And, you know, like what's the point? And so that's something that it took me a while to really get a sense of. When you know, there's a saying that when there's a clear answer to the question of what it is that you really in your heart of hearts really want, then you will find the ways in which you can achieve that. But you've got to really be clear about what it is that you're really after, what that's going to require of you, and you will meet those challenges. And it's not a matter of facing one challenge once and for all. in a committed partnership in which both people, whether you like it or not, whether you want to or not, you're both growing. And what does that mean? It means you're both changing. So whoever it is that you think that you're with now, 50 years from now, or 20 minutes from now, it ain't going to be the same person. And so one of the things that, you know, you've got to be willing to do is to create an identity that you're not so attached to, that you've got some fluidity and some flexibility to be able to shift with the change of the times and the change of the seasons and the change and shifts of the personalities, because it's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that reminder. I love that idea of just this one thing that will be constant is the change, and to relax into that mystery unfolding can actually feed part of us, feed that desire for newness and mystery.
Yeah, because a lot of relationships, they don't, marriages that are not successful, it isn't necessarily because there's too much change or the differences are too great. It's because people get too attached to and locked in to certain ways of being that they get really identified with. And there's a lot of resistance when we're challenged to loosen our grip on the way things need to be.
Right.
So flexibility is big. And the other side of flexibility is commitment. So in a lot of relationships, like in ours, I'm pretty flexible. That's the strength of mine.
I'm a commitment champ.
Linda's on the other side of that.
From each other, and that's part of what we teach, is to really learn from the differences, because you can grow to be a more whole human being if you take on the study of your relationship about what is it that they have to offer. They bring these wonderful strengths that I don't have, and I'm going to learn from those.
Right.
It's a good deal.
Yes, it is a good deal to make that commitment, to be in it for the long haul, to recognize that we can loosen up our own grip on our own sense of identity, and to recognize that conflict is growth trying to happen, you know, that there are those moments of moving forward. So if there's one key takeaway in terms of dissolving negativity, I know that's like trying to take a fire hydrant into a garden hose, but what would you, and you can each have different answers on this. We just talked about how you're different people, but what's the one thing that helps you dissolve negativity?
We're very aligned on this particular point.
Okay.
Vulnerability is the key.
Okay.
Because when people are defended to the max, you know, it's like they've got armor on, they got a breastplate, they're sword out and swinging the mace, and you know they're frightened and they're hurting and they're not yet skilled to become conscious in combat. And so one of the most effective ways is to take off the armor. Because people can't really be close, you know, skin to skin and body to body and heart to heart when they're armed to the teeth. Yeah. And so to consciously, I am going into this interaction and we're going to explore the differences with an attitude of curiosity and wonder. And I'm not going to, as best I can, be defended and watch it for the manipulations and not get tone in my voice and make threats and ultimatums and be judgmental and critical. I'm going to see if I can disarm and be vulnerable, because when I speak about what hurts and the pain and I talk about my fear, it's a totally different conversation, and then invites my partner to come closer to me. Yeah. But when I'm a bitch on wheels, that does not invite him to be participating with me. It's not going to lead to understanding. And we had to learn this the really hard way. You know, we're both firstborn and we like having our way. We thought we were right, and we had some humdingers back in the old days. But we are good students and we paid attention. And so we learned that the more anger you express, the angrier you get. You don't blow off steam. When you find a way to speak your truth of your experience, not your opinions, those are often judgmental and critical, but the truth of your deeper experience, that's where the vulnerability is. And that's where the understanding, not agreement necessarily, but understanding is likely to take place.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. The undefended heart, the undefended presence of being able to connect through the vulnerability without the, what did you say? The bitch on wheels. The bitch on wheels is not going to get you where you want to go, right, Linda? Right.
You might have a little cheap thrill of being powerful, but
Yeah.
tremendous. So it's better to skip that part if you can.
Yeah.
The other thing that's so important is we're going to lose it sometimes, and so to be champions of repair.
Mm-hmm.
Really learn how to make a thorough apology.
Right.
And what I've learned from this, and I'm so sorry, and I'm so sorry that I hurt you, and going forward, I feel empowered to do it better next time.
Right.
And to learn how to cultivate forgiveness, to let go, and to be willing to turn the page, that learning has taken place, and we don't have to keep making the same mistakes.
Right.
Go on, make new ones.
Good. How about for you, Charlie? Anything you'd add to that dissolving of negativity? Or does that feel pretty covered?
I'm not sure I'd use the term dissolving negativity. I think it's more about coming to terms with the inevitability of negativity, because it's going to come up.
Okay.
You know, negativity, what negativity really is, how it shows up in relationships, is it's a resistance to what is.
Yeah.
It's a refusal to accept reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so we argue with it, or we argue with our partner, or we try to change it. And I'm not saying that, you know, we should just be resigned to living in a negative space at all.
Right.
But in order for anything to change, it has to first of all be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, hey, we got a problem here right now. You know, we're at issue about something that we're both feeling very strong about. And
with the emphasis on the we, not the you.
Yeah, not a lot, you know. Finger pointing generally doesn't help a lot, but we're going to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you know better, you're still going to have your moments of blaming your partner.
Mm-hmm.
It's still going to feel like it really is this time their fault.
That's why repair is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's fall down, get up, fall down, get up, begin again, begin again.
Right.
Yes, so the people who are really interested in preventing breakdowns from occurring, they're going to have a tough time. Mm-hmm. Because you can definitely minimize them, and you can also diminish the frequency with which they come, and you can increase your efficiency in clearing them up.
Right.
So you can definitely, you know, go from having a relationship that 90% of the time, you know, there's negativity, to one in which it maybe comes up every 3 weeks or something for 15 minutes.
Right.
You know, that's, to me, that's success.
Yeah.
I'm real happy if I can really, you know, diminish it to the point where I barely notice it because it's just a blip on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And we both lived at times in which it's been way more than a blip. It's been like an ongoing presence.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we try to give people some awareness of is the possibility of, if not eliminating it, at least bringing it down to a level where it infrequently shows up, and where you know how to work with it, how to deal with it, how to accept it, and then how to let me just shut this off. Sorry about that.
Thanks.
So yeah, to accept it, and then once you accept it, then you can ask the next really important question, which is, okay, what do we want to do now?
Mm-hmm.
What is my intention here? What is your intention? What are we committed to right now? We've got this issue here.
Mm-hmm.
It's here.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be able to make it go away, automatically, but we can engage with it in a way in which it can maybe become, to use your word, dissolved.
Yeah.
But we got to be there with it.
Right.
One of the things that we are finding when we're working with couples and when we're teaching our classes that we emphasize is how to head off some trouble at the pass and to do some preventive care by having regular check-ins.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think daily practice is too much in that department, but at least once a week. Sometimes people give their best to work and they give their best to their kids and the relationship get the leftover scraps. So to make your relationship a priority and to make it important to, on a regular basis, see if anything is out before it gets too full blown, you know, and deal with it when it's in the smaller form. And we refer to the incompletions about the things that people haven't dealt with, and they mount up. And then when you get grumpy enough, that's when you're likely to lead to fights. So if you're making your relationship a priority and you're tending to it, so you're taking care of things before they get so out of control, and you're making sure to have plentiful time where you're enjoying each other, you know, with some appreciation and gratitude for having this wonderful person in your life, it isn't candy coating the cess. You know, it's not denying that there are difficult challenges in every relationship that do need to be attended to. But even in those dark times, there's always that which is wonderful about the relationship. So to emphasize that which works and to express appreciation and gratitude for having this person in your life and all the things that are wonderful about it. We find this consistently when we teach, that people don't do their gratitude list with each other, not nearly enough.
Well, you are giving us a wealth of information about the inevitability of the heated moments, the conflict when it does come up, and the importance of being present with and accepting what is going on, turning toward each other with that undefended, unguarded heart, that presence, and the importance of repair and developing that resiliency over time, and then noticing the frequency is dropping, the intensity of those interactions become less frequent, less intense, sometimes imperceptible. But when they do come up, being able to turn towards and heal that. And then what I hear you saying, Linda, is really to bring in the good, to bring in the gratitude, bring in the appreciations, bring in that sense of humor and have fun. And you know, I feel like we're touching the tip of the iceberg here as we wrap up our interview, but that's basically it. I mean, in an essence, is there anything else that you would add to that before we wrap up our interview?
The power of intention.
Okay.
Because at the beginning of the remarks, you want to get off on a good foot.
Yeah.
You want to invite the person into holding the vision that this could enrich us. You know, my intention is to be closer to you. My intention is not to criticize you. I don't want to make you bad and wrong. I don't want to blame you and shame you. My intention is to clear up this clog in the works between us so that we can have maximum love flowing back and forth. And we call that appealing to their enlightened self-interest. Because everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to have ease and harmony and joy in their life. And so if they can be invited in, and we're affirming it for ourselves at the same time, that our intention is a good one. Our intention is for both of us to really thrive in this relationship. That's getting off onto a good foot, and it sets a tone for having some kind of understanding that's going to be useful.
Yeah. Yum. Tasty. Maximum love flowing back and forth. I got it. How about you, Charlie? Anything you'd like to add?
Be patient with yourself and with the process. Because this is not a weekend workshop that we're talking about. It's the work of a lifetime. You know, we know people who have been at this a lot longer than we have, and they still have their moments. And it's okay. It's only not okay when you have the expectation that we shouldn't have to have this going on anymore. We should be done by now. We should be beyond the point where we get reactive or defensive. There are people, I think, in the world. I mean, there's like over 7 billion of us, and I'm sure that there are some who really do get to that point. I have no doubt about it. But I think for most of us ordinary mortals, it's something that we really need to accept as something that we're probably going to have to be dealing with. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's part of our humanness. And to try to be patient with the process and be patient with yourself and be patient with your partner makes it an awful lot easier.
Mm-hmm. And patience is not passive.
Right.
Patience and persistence, it can be a powerful force.
Right.
Yeah.
I really feel that, and I'm honored and I'm really delighted to have this little window of time with you, because I can feel it even through the wonders of modern technology. Like, there's an effort there, but there's this deep, as I perceive it, a deep calm, a deep connection, and it gives me what we call here in Hawaii, we call it chicken skin. So I'm covered in chicken skin right now, and it's the magic, it's the juice, it's the inspiration I need, because I too didn't have it modeled for me. And I've been married sweet 16, you know, it's a lot for me, but you know, going for the long haul, going for the marathon here. This isn't a weekend workshop. We're in this to bring our best selves forward and to learn and grow and enjoy the process. It's such an inspiring message. So I know you have some other inspiring nuggets to leave us with a free gift offering and more resources where people can find you. I'd love for you to give word to that now, please.
Well, if they can remember Linda Bloom or Charlie Bloom or Bloomwork, it'll take them right to our website. And we will take people's email addresses, and they can get these brand new, hot off the press, for free ebooks. One of them's on sex, one of them's on conflict management, and the third one is excerpted from our popular book, 101 Things I Wish I Knew When I Got Married. We took out 10 of the really juicy ones. We are also on Facebook Live every Thursday afternoon from 12:30 to 1 o'clock, and that is Pacific time. If people can't see us there, they are all archived and people can go back and see, choose by topic, and they're on YouTube also.
Yeah, it's a great resource out there. I found it, a colleague referred me to you, and then I found you on Facebook, and it's like, I felt like I knew you going in, you know, and it's such a wealth of information. And I love that the 101, when I asked you about it the other day, Linda, you said, oh, we actually had a bigger list than that, and we whittled it down to 101, and now you've whittled it down to 10. So that's wonderful. Thank you for doing that good work. This is good work. My intention in bringing a league of extraordinary couples to as many people as possible so that we can tend to the relational field between us, get juiced up and resourced, and go out and be a force for good in the world, because you matter, your relationships matter. And I thank you both so much for your precious time, your wonderful energy, and the work you bring to our world. We need it. So a big, as we say here, mahalo nui loa, a great big thanks. And be well until we meet again.
Thank you.